Should I just go through the presentation, or you stop for questions, or is that after the fact?
Let's do your kind of 3-minute presentation, and then we'll do questions afterwards. Everyone, please feel free to just shoot your questions into the Q&A tab or the chat, and then we'll get to them.
Sure. So I guess adding on from the initial 1-minute presentation, the average mushroom farm in the United States in 2020 grew 5.9 pounds of mushrooms per square foot. Our farms can produce around 52 pounds per square foot, which is pretty exciting. The market for mushrooms in North America is getting quite large, at 1.6 billion US dollars. That's edible mushrooms alone, not just not including nutraceuticals or any other type of mushrooms. For an Alberta frame of reference, there's around 15,000 pounds of mushrooms, specialty mushrooms eaten in Alberta every single week. Currently, there's no local grower who has the production capacity, the food safety certification, or the price point to address that market. So because of this lack of local production, most of that 15,000 pounds is brought in from either BC or from Asia. And while both BC and Asia have really great mushroom products, unfortunately, they deteriorate quite quickly in transit. So by the time they've arrived in Alberta, they're already quite old. Yeah, so we grow mushrooms in a 3-step approach, which is kind of like a sustainability sandwich. Our biomass is collected from agricultural waste products. We can use a very wide range of waste products depending on where we want to implement the farms. Anything with a fibrous component works really well for our cultivation system. We grow mushrooms from this, and that's where around 99% of the revenue comes from, with sales to markets and distributors. And then our waste product, which is called MycoPro, is the enhanced mushroom substrate with the higher protein content. So it really is a circular model. In step number 1, we can actually get paid to take grain away from breweries in certain cases. And depending on the agricultural input, there is a revenue opportunity with the collection of the material. So we're able to generate value and generate revenue at three points in the process. We've operated from Olds College at this pilot facility for the last 5.5 years or so now, developing this system that nobody else has, I guess, experimented with. So it's a very highly automated process, and it really cuts down on the most expensive part of mushroom cultivation, which is labor. So we have one single piece of custom processing equipment, which does all of the substrate processing, the inoculation, the packaging. We have autonomous incubation and fruiting microclimates, which are controlled with the AI partner. And then really the only part that requires a large amount of work is the harvesting at the moment. That's the main input of labor. So around 8 to 16 hours per batch faster than competition, and we have a much lower contamination rate. We've got some really great partners. We work with Spartan Controls out of Calgary, a process automation group. They're specialized in oil field, but they're diversifying into the ag and other sectors. We also have a partnership with Bridge AI, who offers us has developed us a crop monitoring platform to literally watch all of the mushrooms grow and figure out exactly when they need to be harvested. There's a window of hours where mushrooms are perfect to harvest and you get really good yields and you're minimizing waste. So that platform is bringing more product to market and giving us more insight into the crop development plan and strategy. And long term, we're going to be able to speed up or slow down the mushroom crop's development to hit certain inputted harvest dates, which is exciting. Now we've got it demonstrated. We've got $1.5 million together to build a demonstration farm in Alberta to address that 15,000 pound a week market. Once we've demonstrated it there and we've demonstrated the tech on a large scale with our automation partner and with our AI partner, essentially we just demonstrate and replicate. So we take those basic units and then we can apply them pretty much anywhere in the world where people eat mushrooms and livestock and where there's agricultural waste. So we've got interest in Spain and Africa and South Korea, the United States, the Canadian North. Quite a bit of interest in licensed operations, and what you see on the map would be directly owned. Got a fairly small team, but a really good team. Jim's been doing mushroom sales for about 20 years. Used to sell around 200,000 pounds of mushrooms per week for major North American buyers. As part of this cross-field expansion, we're bringing on quite a few more folks. We have four people who run the production at the farm here, and then I got a really great group of advisors. yeah, if anybody has any questions, there's my contact information. Feel free to check out the website. Yeah, I really benefited from the Foresight Accelerator program, and yeah, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Alex. And yeah, oh, we have a question already. Are there other mushroom producers within Alberta or Saskatchewan?
Yeah, so there's quite a few small mushroom producers. There's probably a half dozen in Alberta. Yeah, all of them have really great products and yeah, really exciting businesses. I guess what's not available locally is a commodity scale mushroom producer who addresses the food service and the distribution and the retail outlets. For that, you need a very, very high price or very, very high production and a very high price or low price point. So yeah, that doesn't exist in Alberta at the moment for specialty mushrooms.
Great. And another question here in the chat is, can you reuse your growing medium? And if not, what do you do with it?
Yeah, so the leftover growing medium is what we just got approved as a livestock feed. So we're the first mushroom farmer, first company in North America to have the residual substrate of the mushroom compost approved as for a useful thing aside from compost. So yeah, we use it up to 3 times to get crops out of, like mushroom crops. We can fruit them 3 times. And then once they're spent, once the nutrients have been depleted in that tube, then we're going to be feeding it to cattle, which is exciting. Around 25,000 pounds a week once we get rolling.
Great. And yeah, everybody else, feel free to enter your questions into the chat or the Q&A. And just kind of, Alex, a question on my end is, actually, maybe it's just not clear to me, is your main business selling the mushrooms or the modules? Like I saw you like on your plan to expand is like licensing out these modules, but which one is like kind of the main side of the business?
Yeah, the main focus is the sale of fresh mushrooms to commodity scale buyers. I guess the licensing for us is a really great way to get into markets that are small or niche or require a local insight. So the Yukon is a really great example where the market is quite small and you need a lot of local expertise to sell there. So unlike in large markets where we can go in and just get a contract with a Gordon Food or a Cisco or whatever, there it makes more sense to partner with somebody or license our technology to somebody who's going to be able to sell in that market. And it's a way to get or to create value in smaller niche markets and to monetize them for us, which is exciting. So yeah, in large markets we do owned and operated, and in smaller niche we license. In Africa,
Right.
Again, we don't know anything about growing mushrooms in Africa, so another one will license.
That's a smart way to go about it. Another question here in the Q&A. What are your key milestones over the next year leading up to the Series A?
Yeah, great question. So we were funded in part through Emissions Reduction Alberta Food Farming and Forestry Challenge. So over the next year, we have 5 key milestones, which is implementing the tech kind of in stages. So we're starting out with around 2,000 pounds of mushrooms per week in the next 2 quarters here. And then we scale up modularly from there to around 8,000 pounds per week. We have goals around the volumes of MycoPro brought to market, the volume of mushrooms brought to market, the revenue that we're looking at, the cost per pound that we need to achieve. And then we have some tech goals as well. So we set some goals with our partners on the data collection and what sort of yield improvements that we want to see too. So yeah, if whoever asked the question is interested, we're going to be doing updates on a regular basis, and folks who may be interested in our Series A, we'd love to keep them in the loop and kind of in this investment community. So it's we're not just doing cold calls, I guess, in a year's time.
Great. Yeah, and I think after this event, feel free to connect with anyone through the event platform and leave your contact information, Alex, so everybody can reach you. We have another question here in this chat. Have you ever used fermented cow manure as a growing medium?
No, we haven't. So the mushrooms that we like to grow, we typically would grow in trees in the wild. Things like button mushrooms and portobellos, creminis, they like to grow in manure. They're kind of more of a soil-based mushroom. The ones that we grow really like to grow in kind of fibrous agricultural wastes. So no, we haven't done that one yet, but with our system, we could process it if there was a species of mushrooms that like to grow in that and that there was a market for it. In Alberta, it's not the case yet.
Great.
I guess we have done tequila. We've done tequila pulp. We've done corn stover, canola, like a half dozen other substrates as well that we've done pomegranate, coconut. There's quite a range of product that we can use. So.
Great. And I think with that, we might wrap up this session. Any final words, Alex?
No, it's great. Thanks everybody for their questions and for listening to the presentation. And yeah, I look forward to keeping those who are interested updated in the next year as we scale this from a pilot scale or pilot operation to one of the largest mushroom farms in Canada.
Great. Thank you so much for your pitch today. And I hope to see everybody onto the main stage as we have our keynote starting in a minute. Great. Thank you, everyone.